Hi guys, today I'm really excited to share my spoiler-free review for Shang-Chi. I've been reading it as Shang-Chi for years in the comic books, and Shang-Chi, I believe is the correct pronunciation. I'm so sorry if I butcher that, but I think that's it. And The Legend of the Ten Rings. You guys, this movie completely blew me away. You know, like, the MCU is back. It's bigger than ever. I'm so excited for Phase 4. If this is just the beginning, like, we are all in for a massive treat. Fans of all the past Marvel movies will be thrilled with how much they were tied in. And all right, let's get into deep dive into my spoiler-free review. But if this is your first time here, I'd love it if you take 1 second, hit that subscribe button, go ahead and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on trailer reactions, movie reviews, and celebrity interviews. Okay, let's talk about this movie. Hey, Tessa from MamasGeeky here. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel. Okay, so I'm going to keep this as spoiler-free as possible. There's a few things I'm going to mention that were seen in trailers later on, but I will give a warning for that because I know some people completely avoid trailers. What I will say about this is wow, okay? Wow. Wow. That's like all I can say. It's visually stunning. It's absolutely gorgeous pretty much from the beginning. All of the martial arts is just incredible. As you could probably tell just from the trailer, it's amazing. So just think of that on even a grander scale. And I'm telling you, like, the fight scenes in this are bananas. They're so good. I love a good fight scene. I love action, especially in my Marvel movies. And this was done so well. There's several incredible fight scenes that you're just like I was just staring in awe at the screen. Like, I can't believe they're doing this right now. And I mean, several of them. It's so good. There's ties to previous MCU movies. I mean, here's the thing. They give you enough to be like, yes, this is clearly in the MCU. It's clearly placed right now. There was stuff previously that occurred in the MCU that they mentioned. And like, okay, so you know it's in this right place, right? It's in the MCU. But they don't dwell too long on those things so that they really give Shang-Chi his time to shine, right? They give him those moments that, like, this is his origin story. And it's crazy to think that this is an origin story because, honestly, this is probably one of the best origin stories that we've gotten in the MCU, if not the best. One of the best origin films, one of the best solo films. It's just really, really, really freaking good. Like, I'd rate it right up there with Iron Man and Captain America: First Avenger. You know, it's so good, and I feel like it's going to become iconic for the MCU moving forward, especially Phase 4. Like I said, love that they tied little things in. There's one thing that was spoiled on Twitter by Marvel themselves, as well as somebody else that I follow, that I guess it's not like really a spoiler, but to me, it kind of ruined that surprise element. So if you haven't seen it already, try to stay off that stuff. Maybe mute the keywords or something like that on Twitter, because I was really upset. It was very obvious in my screening who had seen coverage from the premiere and had known about this thing, and who hadn't, because there was literal sounds of shock and surprise and excitement that, you know, I wasn't shocked or surprised, excited, sure, but knew this was already coming, and unfortunately, I mean, I really wish I hadn't. So if you don't already know those things, definitely avoid that. But back to the show and this cast. Oh my gosh, this cast, they have such great chemistry. I mean, Simu Liu, and I'm probably saying that wrong too, but with Awkwafina, their chemistry is so great because they're hilarious together, but like, they can get down to the heart too, and they're really good. I mean, of course, Awkwafina throws in a lot of one-liners. She's hilarious. I mean, what else do you expect from her? But she brings some heart and soul to this as well. I mean, this movie itself is really all about, it's extremely emotional. It's all about family and love and friends, but it's also about, like, kicking ass. Like, it's really good. I'm telling you, the fight scenes are amazing. There's some horror elements to this that I was not expecting, and the way they were done, I was like, oh, this is insane, you know? Like, things get crazy, okay? Yes, there's a little bit of a lull in the middle. I mean, as with anything, the setup, you gotta, it's gotta be there, and it does pay off. It didn't bother me at all, because I like that stuff. I love character development and story development. I will say I went with my 8 and 10-year-old daughters. My 10-year-old completely enthralled, absolutely loved it, captivated the whole time. My 8-year-old lost her footing a little bit in the middle, but then perked back up during the end and all of the fight scenes, of course. Now, I will say also, there are a lot of captions, right? So, because there's a lot of speaking in other languages, so because of that, my 8-year-old got most of it, but sometimes it was moving a little fast, so I had to like lean over and whisper to her what the captions were, what the people were saying, and I think that took away from her as well. So if you're going with someone who's not a fast reader, like a younger child, just keep that in mind as well. But again, it didn't really take away from anything for her. It made it a little slower, but like I said, she perked back up for the last like 45 minutes. She was completely in it. And the beginning, she was completely in it. It's just a little bit in the middle for her. She's a little young. It's a lot of talking and a lot of character development, and then also a lot of talking that she didn't understand because it was another language, and I had to read the captions to her, which I think is just not as meaningful. But back to the horror element, like there's a horror element towards the end that is insane. It's so good. I was so happy they went there. But then there's a lot of CGI stuff, and I gotta admit, like the second half is, well, at least the last like 45 minutes or so is so much CGI, because they're in like a magical, mystical place, and there's like tons of creatures, okay? But they're done really well. Like, I was very pleasantly surprised. I was like, wow, great job on the visual effects and great job on the CGI of these creatures. Like, because, CGI is sometimes hit or miss, okay? For me, I did not have a problem with this at all. In fact, I was extremely impressed. And that's one note I took right away. I was like, wow, CGI, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, impressed. So I think it comes out really well. I enjoyed it. I didn't see an issue with it. And I watched it on the big screen. So, that said, some people might. I'm not sure. I saw a couple people on Twitter complaining about it. But I thought it was great. I was impressed. It didn't bother me one bit. There wasn't anything I went, ooh, that looks awful. Like, sometimes I do. There's a lot of movies that happens with, not with Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Ten Rings. Speaking of The Legend of the Ten Rings, the plot of this is so good. And, like, it feels a little predictable, and then it kind of twists and goes into something like I did not see coming. Did not find predictable at all, which I love when a movie does that. Now, I will say I'm not super well versed in the comics. I know a little bit here and there. This is very different for me for Marvel stuff. It's usually I know every single thing. I've been reading the comics for years and years and years. This is just comics I've picked up recently since they announced that this character was coming to the MCU. So I don't know a ton. So perhaps this is very rooted in the comics. I'm not 100% sure. But I will say that it still surprised me the way that they went with certain things. I thought it was great. All of the martial arts, all of the fighting styles, all of the chemistry between the entire cast, like all of that needs to be mentioned. It's so good. Again, the ties to previous past MCU projects, fantastic, very well done. Just enough to connect it, not too much to take away from Shang-Chi and his story, his origin story, which like I am dying to see more from him. I love just watching him fight with like freaking the best sneakers on. Like he's wearing sneakers and like armor. Like that's just freaking cool. Like I just love him. I'm like, this guy is awesome. And I think Simu Liu does a fantastic job as him. Absolutely fantastic. Really enjoy his on-screen presence. And of course, like I said, his chemistry with Awkwafina is phenomenal. But really with the entire cast, so good. So good. There's several bone-chilling performances. And I really, really, truly enjoyed it. Now, one thing I want to talk about that is, I don't want to say it's a spoiler because there's a big thing in the second trailer, if you guys remember. So if you have been avoiding the trailers, now is the time to bow off. But I do appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. And I give this movie a 5 out of 5. It's one of the best movies of 2021, one of the best action movies ever, and one of the best comic book movies ever. Really, really freaking enjoyed it. Really loved it. Okay, but now I want to talk about something from the trailers. Here's your last warning. We have that Wong and Abomination fight. Holy cow, it delivers. That's all I want to tell you. So you saw a little clip of it, tiny little clip, flash of it in the trailer, and then they did confirm, yes, that's what it was. And I've just got to say, that part was one of my favorite parts. It's so good. And it's just so fun to see. Again, like I said, this is a tie into the MCU, right? Like, we're in the MCU. There's Wong. There's Abomination. And Abomination looks freaking so cool. I cannot wait for more of Shang-Chi in the future of the MCU. Like, welcome to the MCU, baby. I can't wait. Like, what an entrance. This is how you do an origin story, okay? This is how you do it. And I'm so excited for more. I cannot wait. Now, you guys let me know if you're excited for this movie down below in the comments. If you've already seen the movie by the time you get to this review, let me know what you thought about it. Be sure to give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on more movie reviews, trailer reactions, and celebrity interviews. Now, this movie comes to theaters September 3rd. As of now, it is not coming to Disney Plus for 45 days. We don't know if it'll be Premiere Access or not. If it is, I promise you guys, it's worth the cost. Thank you so much to all of my monetary supporters, my members here on YouTube, as well as my patrons. If you haven't joined yet, please consider doing so. We have some really awesome perks, including a monthly Zoom meeting where we get to talk face to face. Thank you again to everyone who supports me.